Today's episode is supported by the Kranzberg Arts Foundation. The Kranzberg Arts Foundation provides essential infrastructure and venues for creatives to thrive in St. Louis because the soul of a city is shaped by its arts. Go to KranzbergArtsFoundation.org to explore some of St. Louis's finest dance, art, music, and more in the amazing Grand Center neighborhood. Now, here's Coach Jen with today's Soccer Mom Sunday.
I have to listen for just a little. Oh,
Guesstimation time.
I'm not. Oh, good morning. This is like the good morning, and then you just roll back over and go to sleep.
Yeah.
That lovely.
Well, I always found this song hilarious. Like, it's such a dichotomy because it's sweet, it's got this vibe, but this is Ozzy Osbourne.
Hey,
our guest is like, what?
He's versatile.
No, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, I love all those little B-side nuggets, the hidden tracks where you're
this
like,
is cool.
oh my God.
I feel
You've
like
heard it. Here
I
you go.
probably have heard it.
Listen.
Oh. Yeah,
You heard Charles
that.
Bradley make it famous, but it was written by Senor Ozzy.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
You don't appreciate his voice because he was awesome. He was a whack job.
A
little nuts, a little crazy.
It's totally crazy, but it's like crazy in a good way. I miss like rock stars like that.
Crazy train.
Where it's just like, look, I'm just going to be debauchery.
You're just going to eat a bird's head. It's fine.
So awesome.
So a funny thing happened on the way back from the bathroom.
Sunday morning.
I feel like sometimes like real-time stories are good. So we record usually 2 podcasts on a Friday. We just got done with Betsy Birkenmeyer-Hannick, which she's hilarious, and
yeah, she was a lot of fun.
Definitely get her doing. She'd probably for a beverage do your team snap updates, and she will make them fun. And I went to use the restroom and grab a drink, and as I'm leaving, there's a mom that like 3 kids come running into the restroom, right? And there's a mom who opens door, leans in, and it's the typical mom. She's like, "Okay, each go in your own stalls. Don't break anything. Make sure you wash your hands and don't fight in here. I'll be right back." And I'm walking out laughing, and she's like, school kids have a half day. We thought it'd be a great fucking idea to bring them out to eat for lunch.
I walked past that table, and I'm like, oh my God, this is a Bordeaux Botox half day.
And she
it
goes,
is crazy
and she
over
goes,
there.
I said, well, at least they have a bar. And she goes, and a 9-ounce pour. So I know what they're doing over there.
That is not lemonade.
And I have 4 kids, but who hasn't, on their kids' way to somewhere, yelled, like, don't fight, don't touch nothing, wash your freaking hands, and get your asses back to the table. I've been there.
Yeah, it's funny.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is for all you people who take your things out to dinner in public. This is your PSA.
I got thing 1 through 4.
It's like... I don't know. You go out to eat anymore, and when you do, because I'm a people watcher. I don't care where I'm at. Like when I'm around people specifically, like I'm out with another couple or whatever, I always feel bad because like I've got
JB's lurking on you.
I'm looking around and they're like, "Am I boring you?" And I'm, no, I just have this. I just pay attention to everything going around. And when you're in a restaurant, like I can't not stare or pay attention to families with kids because I'm so intrigued and disgusted and just curious with the devices. And I can't, my favorite part is when the waiter or waitress walks up and is like, "Okay, you guys ready to order?" And then the kids just start whining. Like, well, we're not ready. Like, oh my God, just get the hot dogs.
My last one
is
like,
out of the way.
My last one is like, and for my first course, I will have my second course.
Yes.
And then if the name on the menu has the word impossible in it, Liam wants it. That's my third born. And I'm
Love
like,
that.
But hold on. Like, do you know that they call it impossible because it's not really meat? He's like, what? I'm like, no, that doesn't mean it's the 5-patty thing that he tries to order at Circle 7, which he has once, and he ate it.
No harm, no foul.
But he just thought the word impossible meant fucking cool. And so he was like, order it up. And I'm like, that's not meat, just so you know.
You should take him to Max, because Max has that burger board where they have
I don't-
each number?
Jamie, like, I can't send him out with people because he'll order for 3 men. He'll order that, and I'm like, they'll buy it for him because they're like, well, we said we'd take your kid to eat. I'm like,
Well,
I'm sorry.
There are a few numbers left. So basically, what Max did is they did a board. I think it's 1 through 30, and the number is representative of the number of patties.
Oh,
and if you
oh my
eat
God.
the number,
No.
and you're the first one to do it, you get to name the
That's
burger.
physically making.
And there's only 2 left. And
Oh
they're,
my God.
Now, the crazy thing is not 30, 29, 28, 27. Those are all gone.
What?
It's like random numbers. Should get Liam in there. I'm trying to get Jared to go do it.
Liam and Jared.
Yes.
There's an episode right there.
And-
And they're on the same level.
And I already named
I
Jared.
love you, Jared.
If he does it, it's called the Jer Bear.
Jared Bear. Oh, God.
No, I do. I want to get your opinion, though. I want to go back to
Okay.
kids, family in public ordering. Is it just too much leeway? Like, do we allow, this whole
Yeah.
faux advocacy when you're just kind of being a lazy parent when the waiter or waitress comes to the table and you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think, yeah, there is probably some of that where you want to get them, like, I want mine to order for themselves. So look at them in the eye, say please and thank you, place your order, and then, but then I think you do, like, Harper's easy. It's mac and cheese or grilled cheese.
do you require like a color on the plate too? Or are you like
not if we
just
go
from
out
the
to eat.
brown
No, I'm
menu?
not even going to, on the out to eat, I don't care. You're even getting,
interesting.
we don't have soda around the house, so like if you want to get a soda, maybe, but we don't have that. So I don't care. By the time I've gotten to a restaurant, I don't give a shit about nutrition. I just don't want to cook at home and I don't want to do the dishes. So what do I care? So I don't care. But then the boys tend to order, they're really eclectic. So they'll order, George gets mad because they order like him. And he's like, I'm not paying $2 more for shrimp. I'm like, it's $2, man. Like, just let them have some shrimp on that.
Do you have a line in the sand when it comes to the food? Like, you can't get the 22-ounce ribeye
Yes.
or the tomahawk chop.
Yes. So basically, if we're not going to, if it's going to be more than ours, you're not ordering it
Fair enough.
at the time. And so, yeah, and they typically want to order like that.
Okay, great. Now that we got that out of the way.
But Liam wants to know. Yeah. So speaking of nothing related to what we're talking about, Soccer Mom Sunday at Mellow Mushroom Sunset Hills.
What?
But there actually is. There's a lot of people in here right now. So
Yeah.
it must be, like I said, a half day, and a lot of really good parents thought, let's go get a bite to eat. That was dumb.
Some schools have already kicked off spring break too.
Oh, so they're going to be at the bar
Love
shortly near us. But in the meantime, I got somebody to meet us on I don't know if she's on her spring break, but
I bet she has opinions on this
Yeah.
subject matter
but
here.
she's a mom, and she's a soccer mom, and a soccer club mom, and all the things soccer, and still plays in a co-ed league because she's crazy. Katie Stewart Bokern, and I have to do Stewart, Katie, because I didn't know you as Bokern. So like, Katie Bokern, I'm like, who's that? It was Stewart, and I played with your sister Bridget at Lindenwood. We were Lindenwood Lions together.
Yes.
And then, so thanks for coming on, first of all.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And then we had the pleasure of sharing a coach because Tim Champion coached Debbie Washburn was my first 2 years. Second 2 years was Tim Champion. And then I wasn't sad to lose him because I graduated and he moved over to SLU for a time and was your coach there.
Correct.
So let's start at the beginning, right? So we got to like reel it back in. There's a common misconception. People will talk, Jackie's like, oh, did you play against Katie? I'm like, no, I was like 1 or 2 years too old to play you. Playing growing up with Bridget, you guys were both soccer people. Mm-hmm. Where'd you play? CYC first, then club, kind of like the standard?
Yes, but so I'm the youngest of 4.
Oh, okay. I didn't know there were 4 of you.
And my parents they weren't soccer players. So like my dad played football, my mom was a basketball, volleyball player. And so then like when their kids got into soccer and then my older siblings loved soccer and we'd just like play in the yard and I was smaller but like pretty
Spunky.
brutish, I guess, a little bit. I
More
don't
than
know.
spunky?
Yeah.
Mean? Yes.
Not mean, but
spunky.
strong.
Strong-willed.
So
Independent.
We know what that's code for.
Yeah.
You're good.
I have 4 too, and she is like that.
So I just started playing CYC, and then when my best friend, her dad, came to my parents. My oldest sibling played select. My oldest siblings did. Bridget and I hadn't started yet. I started in 6th grade, and Bridget started in 8th grade playing flag soccer.
That's late, right?
It's late.
for what we are used to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
So wait, where was CYC played at?
I went to Holy Infant.
Holy Infant, okay.
Baldwin, and then my first team was Coping Kicks.
Okay.
So, and
the
Bridget-
black and gold, or black and
Orange.
orange. Right. I was.
So
sorry.
Bridget joined Coping Kicks too. She made that team, and then I made mine. And Tim was my coach, Tim Champion. And then,
At Colping? I didn't know Tim coached at Colping. I didn't remember that.
Yes,
Oh,
and
good damn.
honestly, my mom, he actually coached my oldest sister, Maureen.
Really?
Yes, because my mom, when I went out to the tryout, she was like, Katie, go up and tell Tim Champion you are Maureen Stewart's sister. And I was so nervous. And I was like, okay, Mom. And maybe that's why he even took me to see, because Maureen was a very good soccer player.
Okay.
And like, oh, she's probably athletic. Because I was very raw. Like, I didn't ever do ball skill. Like, I didn't know what in-betweens were. Or, we didn't do it. I didn't do any of that for
you chased the
USC.
ball and you got it, right?
Yes, 100 miles per hour.
That's right.
But, and so my first years was kind of like learning, I'm going to practice like, what's an in-between,
Yeah.
and kind of, I loved it, but then really learning.
Yeah.
And like learning to see the field and, the right.
So Colping was the intro into like the tried and true, what we know to be select and how to play the game and how to do the skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we were, so Tim was always kind of my coach, but we changed club names. So like we were Champion Club for like a season. And then
Tim's
we
like,
were
I'm gonna do my
JV
own thing.
Marine. We were, then at the end, we were Norco.
Okay.
And then Tim, that's when a lot of us went to high school, and Tim was at Nerix, and some of the girls went to Nerix, so he couldn't coach them. And so then Tom coached us, his twin brother.
Yeah.
And
they look and sound the same. It's if you get yelled at by the Champion brothers, it's getting yelled at in stereo.
And then John Schneider helped him.
Yeah.
And then so we were kind of like everything, but at the end we were Norco. And
Okay.
it was always, there were only 6 like club teams my age to make.
What, there weren't like 100 clubs out there?
A little different, but and then that's, so I guess at the end we were Norco.
So then Bridget was on a different team, same clubs? Because she's 2 years older than you.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much. I think they might have been Coping Kicks for a little bit longer. I'm trying to think of what she ended, what they were. I don't remember.
So then you had older, you said Maureen.
And then I have a brother, Kelly.
Brother Kelly, okay.
They're-
They're both soccer players too?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so your parents who weren't soccer players are like, we got 4 soccer players.
Yes.
Okay.
So all of us went and played in college. My parents never went to college, so that was, a big deal.
Yeah.
They kind of, it was kind of nice, I guess. They always just, good game, like.
Way to chase the
Well-
ball. Yay.
So this is a question I love to ask. Obviously you had a good club career. Where'd you play high school?
I played at Kennedy.
Remember, that doesn't
RIP.
exist anymore, right?
It does not exist
I know.
anymore.
So what I want to skip over high school for just a little bit because with multiple siblings and 2 parents that didn't go to college, correct? What was it like when the opportunity came your way to play in college? What did it mean to them? And that transaction, that phone call, that email, whatever it was.
God,
what
I
did
bet
it
for
mean
all
to
of
your
you
parents?
too. I mean, by the time they got to you, you're the 4th, but the first 2 probably was a wild ride as well.
Yeah, my mom.
Well, back to food. The first one got steak. She got Pop-Tarts.
That's right. That's true. That's true.
My mom was a big component. My mom was really smart and I think sad of that she didn't go to college. She did for a semester, but then had a baby.
Yeah, right.
So she always was pushing us to go to college, finish, And then growing up, I always knew my parents, we didn't have a lot of money, and they kind of told us wherever you decide to go, whether brains, sports, like you're going to kind of come out of that owing what you're going to owe.
Right.
So like choose wisely. If you want to go to this school and they give you this amount of money and this school and that, like it's kind of on you. So when I was thinking about college, like I was getting offers and stuff, and one of the biggest things that stood out to me is I flew to South Carolina for a visit, and I remember, because I told my parents, I'm out of here, I'm going far away, and blah, blah, and then the second I got on that airplane and landed and did my visit, and I thought, my parents are never going to watch me play. If I'm homesick, they can't afford to fly me home.
Right.
And I came home thinking, okay, I 100% know I do not want to go away and play. And then Tim got this job and immediately like contacted me and was like, hey, we're starting this program. And I was like, oh my God, 100%. Like I'm in, yes. And it was great because I also got to play with a lot of my teammates that I grew up playing with and against. So yeah, that's kind of how it started for me.
Wow, that's crazy. And to know, I didn't realize, I mean, I knew of Tim moving over there. I didn't realize that he'd had a youth coaching you connection with Tim. How long, do you remember how long he coached you approximately?
Well, if I started in sixth
most of
grade,
the
it
time
was
then?
till high school.
Wow.
And then,
So, I mean, he really knew you then as a player.
100%,
Coming in.
yeah.
And he knew exactly what he wanted then as a player.
yeah, I don't know if he told me this or if it was in something, but when he got the job at SLU, he's like, I immediately thought of 3 girls that I wanted.
Yeah.
And I was one of them. So.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And so you get the chance, and you know, Bridget wasn't too far away. Linden was not that far. It felt far from where my parents were in Fenton at the time, but now it's not very far at all.
No.
But yeah, did the other two, where'd the older two go?
So my oldest sister went to Park College in Kansas City, and then my brother went to Forest Park, but then he didn't continue.
Okay.
After that.
Yeah, Linden, we played Park College a lot.
Yeah.
They were always one of our battles.
Ben Papula.
Yeah.
That was Marine's coach.
Yeah, that's right. Probably him. I don't know. At the same time, yeah. So you come in and you know, that's actually probably a luxury, is to know your coach's style and exactly what he expected.
Mm-hmm.
Did that mean for a warm kind of intro? Like you knew what he needed, knew what he wanted, and he could be probably very clear with you on that.
For sure.
Yeah.
And just, I think he trusted me. I remember it was the very first PK we ever got. It was at Soccer Park because we did double headers back then. The men's team played before us this game, and we played second. And, oh no, maybe we played first because they were warming up, because this is funny. My husband played on the men's team. And we didn't know each other then, but he was like, I watched your PK.
Really?
And they all were warming up on the other field, and I was like, it's at Soccer Park, it's like maybe
You're
our
taking
first
this
or second
PK,
game,
right.
and we get a PK, and we all look over the bench, and Tim points at me, and I was like, okay, like, I got
I wish
it.
you could see your face right now. It looks like a player who's like, oh my God.
I was terrified, but I was like, okay, I got it. And honestly, I hit it, not how I normally would, and not in the right spot I normally would. So I was like, thank God it went in.
Yay! That's all we got. It went not tick. It ticked. It's in the record.
Yes.
Was it that PK that scored the guy?
Maybe. He remembers it. He has such a better memory than I do. But,
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, it's funny. And then I think we like officially met later. Like, but he was like, I remember that.
So what an interesting move, though, from you having two parents who didn't play the game, have these 4 kids who play the game. Now you go on to play the game at a high level, meet your husband who plays at a high level, and now you guys are running your own club. What are you doing?
I guess we can't get rid of soccer. We just love it so much. No.
And so how many kids do you have?
5.
So you have 5.
Mm-hmm.
Woo! Woo!
We
Okay,
went
I'm
for
tired.
4, and then we got twins.
Oh!
So surprise.
Yay!
My husband's the oldest of 4. I'm the youngest of 4. So we were like, 4 is a great number. And then literally the last baby, they were like,
And
I saw the
there's
screen and I'm
2.
like, oh my God, twins? And she was like, twins.
What's the?
You got an indoor soccer team.
Yeah. What's the boy-girl ratio?
3 boys, 2 girls. So girl, boy, and then boy-girl twins.
Wow. And, if you're running a club, I remember just the short time that we ran Oakville United, I felt like I had, 80 kids, and you're literally kind of mom and dad sort of the club. And Ajax has been around for preceding your husband. I mean, that was your father-in-law's club, is that right?
Yes. Well, Nick always kind of did it with him.
Okay.
And then when he was done, then it was kind of like,
Here you go.
here you go, Nick, which he has a full-time job and 5 kids.
Take this club.
But yeah. So it's a little bit busy. It's mainly him, and then we have a couple that's our partner.
Okay.
And Nick and basically Carrie, they do it together.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
it's mainly them.
But, Ajax is a name that I've known since, my oldest is 17. And so when he was kind of starting to get in the mix, and before we had knew that we were going to do anything, it was a name that floated around there with Gallagher, with Fuse, with Kolping. That's ancient. It's been around forever. I feel like Ajax was one of the many choices that you could have if you're living in South County. It could be South City or South County. It's a nearby choice that many can make.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we just wanted, it kind of started out like, I played multiple sports growing up, and that's kind of like our mission. Play multiple sports, like kids don't get burnt out. It shouldn't cost $1 million to play soccer.
Right.
So we really try and keep it cost effective for families, because not everyone can, it's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, that was going to be a question I was going to ask you, because so many of the clubs in the area have this perceived and or stated identity. Like, this is our mission statement.
Yes.
If you were to describe Ajax, to a prospective parent listening, in your 20-second elevator pitch, what is Ajax from a club brand standpoint?
Our main 2 things that I just said, honestly, of play multiple sports, especially to the parents. It's, we give a lot of scholarships too, and we find a lot of kids from everywhere. So we are in the city, but we are in the county. We rent fields, all over the place. Always just try. It's people call my husband all the time. His number is out there. You don't have to be intimidated to ask him a question. Sure, he runs it, but he's just a normal, good person.
Yeah. A quick follow-up then. How do you guys balance kind of parental expectations? Because obviously so many parents, when it comes to soccer, it's the new hot thing. It's growing so fast. How do you balance development and culture within the club?
Well, we try and give our families opportunities, 1, to join a team, but 2, have some outside stuff of we have a juniors program so they can start when they're little, and a lot of our teams are younger, and when kids get to high school and you play with high school friends, and then teams switch up, and not everyone is going to go play in college. So if you're on this team, there's a ton of other, not the highest level teams. Right. And so we really just want kids to still love playing soccer and want to do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not only that, if I remember right, Kelly Nelson, who we've had on there, her son Ben was on an Ajax team, I think, at the very beginning before. He and Georgie are now 17. So things have grown, and you move and you change and things like that. But it was often, I found out, to be a very good starting place for families when you looked at, just with big eyes and looking at, Gallagher Friday Night Lights can be fun for some, but for some it's oh my God, right? And so the lure of a little bit more quaint kind of a club, a little bit,
See if the kid actually likes it.
Yeah, and the
when
stuff
they're
that we grew up with, when you got, we were on small teams, just a team at Kolping, which had facilities for you. It had an identity, but it didn't have a system per se. You weren't stuck in a system. So I think that boutique, like you said, JB, is kind of still a lure and is a great avenue to start. Or for those classic teams that wanted, we want to stay together. We want to keep playing together in one way, shape, or form, and not necessarily be picked off to go to a different team. How do you know how long? do you get to keep kids as they're older? I know it's harder as we go 11v11 and they get, like you said, to high school.
Yeah, and I was going to say this too about, we've had some really good kids, and we're 100% like, go to Gallagher or go play on this team,
right,
for sure, and then so my oldest son is 21, but like they had like their core that they kept all throughout. And then even now my 16-year-old that still plays, it's kind of been the same core kids, but now he's high school age. So like they're getting some other kids, so that's...
Well, you just pointed out something that I think is so commendable, and that is being cognizant of a ceiling when kids are developing. Because St. Louis is a unique environment. Yeah, I mean, there's other soccer marketplaces that do really, really well also. But, you can have clubs that fill a social, cultural, regional niche with good coaching, good training. But there are always those kids, that 1, 2, 3, a team that they hit their ceiling.
You look at a game and you're like, there they are.
Yeah. So how do you guys as a club, do you actively manage that process and work with parents and or communicate with the kid and or communicate with other clubs and say, hey, you know what, we have this one here. What does that look like in Ajax world?
Yes, to all of it. So it really just kind of depends. And having, we have about 30 teams and
that's
like
a lot.
500
I didn't
kids.
realize that was that big.
And so you can be pretty hands-on. Whether it's, hey, yes, this kid needs to go over here. Even when, like, my son played with this boy and he went to a Gallagher, and his mom still called Nick and asking him, like, help me navigate this. And, of course, he would, because we really just want the best interest for the kids.
When you look at that, from what I hear, it follows very much, at least I know, the German model. We have German friends who have their kids in the clubs, and it's a very big deal for them to have, to support all the kids who want to play in their community with their community club. But then when you have the like we said, the 1%er, to not hold them there, but to be like, yes, like we're a part of that growth, and we wish you the best, and we want you to do that kind of a deal. And so I love that we sometimes have some clubs that don't want to play. They don't want to guest out. They don't want to. They're happy to use a guest player, but they won't guest out. I don't love that. In the words of Chen Zakaria, who's a coach over at Fuse still, I love him to pieces, but he's like, I will always guest my players out. If I'm doing a good job, they'll want to stay. But I shouldn't have to hold on to them. So I love that you guys have that mentality there, that we're here. It feels very community to me, but it's bigger than I thought, though. I had no idea you guys were that big.
Well, I'd love to ask your opinion, because I noticed this on the cesspool that is X. There was a post. Gallagher put a post out that they have a new relationship with looks like St. Charles Community Youth Soccer Association. So basically they're rec league.
SkySA, right?
Sky, yes. Mm-hmm. Sky, 2 C's.
Yes.
And I was watching it, and to me, these kind of relationships, they make sense, because it kind of creates like very definable tiers. And because I view this whole process for parents, just speaking from a parental standpoint, especially newbies that maybe have never played soccer and their kids are getting into it and it's their first foray, these kind of relationships to me seem to like at least map out what it looks like. But in typical Twitterville world, everybody's like, oh, real convenient, pay to play club, swallowing up the free rec stuff. And it's just like, what does that mean to you when you see these kind of relationships? Are they good? Are they good for the kids, for the families? Do we need more synergy as opposed to more silos?
I always think it's never bad having more soccer. Sometimes I think it can get lost of like any kid can be on any team. Of like, let's be realistic of like, does little Johnny really want to be out here, or does mom and dad want him in this club wearing the gear?
For sure.
So I always think having like more opportunities of like if you're pushing out into St. Charles, or like maybe it is touching other kids, but I think it's a fine line because it can be hard.
Yep.
Yeah, and then also the line of, to your point of, does little Johnny want to be out here, and how many days does little Johnny want to be out here, right? Like, so, she's 8. My youngest is like, she will run feral all over the street that we live on for 24 hours. Like, we would not see her, and Harper doesn't find that at all exhausting. But, she's like, 2 games in 1 weekend, really? And I'm like, oh, okay. So we're not like, it's not like she's not Marin. They're different. Whereas Marin was like, how many more games? Here, and Liam, all he wanted for Christmas was training gear for soccer, and our whole entire backyard, you're going to break your ankle on soccer training gear. They're all so different, right?
Yes.
And like, can you meet your kid where they are?
Yeah.
Kind of a deal. And sometimes we don't know where they are because they don't know where they are.
I mean,
I bet your 5 kids are probably really different.
Yes, I was just going to say, of my 5 kids, I have 2 that played soccer. They all played soccer, but I think, Nick and I assumed, I guess, because we both played soccer our whole lives and love it, that we were going to have these kids that all loved soccer, and that was not the case.
So who was your first the player?
Maddie, no.
Okay.
Oh, she did. She played select, and then when she got to high school, then she was like, I don't want to do it. And we were like,
I'm good. Okay.
And honestly, like, we are just like, it's fine. As long as you are a nice, good person in general, like, that's fine. Go to school for your smarts, athletics, whatever. It doesn't matter. But,
Which you don't always find especially with sometimes parents who, I don't know, I think you can find it twofold. Parent who wish they could have played and didn't, or the parents who have played a high level. We find ourselves looking, and like I did the same assumption. I was surprised that my firstborn was not good. I was like, what's wrong with him? Is he broken? Why is he laying on the grass? What is he? Is he eating a flower? Where all these other kids with parents who had not played, and I was like, what's happening right now? And realizing as you get down, they're all just so different.
Yes.
Where in your lineup was the kid who was like, this is it?
Second.
Okay.
So he's 21 now. So he played all through high school.
Which was where? I don't
Vianney.
remember. Okay.
So Michael went to Vianney, tore his ACL his senior season at the end.
No.
Yeah, so that was rough.
Was he under Haddock?
Yes.
So we got Haddock theme today. We got
We
Brian
might as well
Haddock.
just call this Soccer Mom Sunday, featuring Brian
Haddock.
Haddock's
And Brian, he played baseball at SLU when we played soccer at SLU. So we've known him forever. And he played for Bush growing up, and my husband obviously played for Bush. His dad ran Bush Soccer Club.
What
The
was
veins
he on
run
the team
deep
with
in the game.
Bertrand?
Say it again.
Was he on the team with Jared Bertrand?
That sounds
Missouri
familiar. Oh, who?
State. Jared went to Missouri State. I'll figure this out because he talks about your husband often, I believe.
Nick.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they
I digress.
could have played together. It could have played together.
For sure. I mean, and Nick's dad ran Bush Soccer Club.
44-ish. Sorry, Jared.
We're 46.
Yeah. Okay. Close.
Yeah.
Because he was Bush.
Yeah. I'm sure Nick, I feel like, knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then when you occasionally, for a while, still continue to play, old people soccer. And what are you doing? You're playing indoor at Concord. What are you doing?
Co-ed indoor soccer. Thursday
Co-ed.
night. Yeah.
So what do you do when you see that nut job out there and you're like, I'm not doing that today,
Steer clear.
gentlemen? You said it's always a guy.
You just
Some guy who's like,
a million miles an hour.
What's
Who
that dodgeball
didn't
movie?
play club or college, but got fit in their 30s.
And they're like, let's go.
I mean, sometimes they're always like, this is over 30 and it's co-ed.
It's
Like, if you want to be crazy, play against the men.
It's always the one that played FIFA, like they were video gamers who stayed fit. It's like, don't do that.
No.
Like, we want to
And you're playing against girls, women. Like, what? And you're going a million miles. Good job, buddy. You beat a 46-year-old
I
lady.
just had 5 kids and you just rolled me over. Thank you.
I always used to joke and be like, I just have to get up and be able to take care of my kids tomorrow. Like, I'm not getting hurt for this.
Yeah. Here, I'll kick the ball over there. You go chase it.
Right.
So I want to go back to a little bit of what we were just kind of dipping our toes in, that being obviously you and your husband played at high levels all the way through college. You still play, right? Your kids were not unanimously into soccer. Sounds like 2 of the 5 really thrived. And you run a club that's got, 500 kids all doing it. How do you talk about managing expectation? How good little Johnny or Jamie is, communicating to parents, because you have personal expectations, loving the game. You want everybody to be a D1 player. But the reality is that is not the case. So talk about a little bit of when a kid it's not a fit, or maybe it's not a good path, or maybe, look, they need to just enjoy themselves. Reel in a parent here for a second.
I think / would hope a parent would have quasi an idea. So...
Okay, so let's assume they don't.
Okay, well, let's assume they don't, because in my brain it sticks out if my kid was good or not. I immediately know, But a lot of times too. So my husband and I actually coach together a little girls team right now, and it's funny because you can. They're little and still developing, but
how old about you?
They're 2nd and 3rd grade.
Oh, you said littles. They're little.
But I know what you were about to say. You can still see glimmers of what I call it, right?
Yes.
Even at a young age. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
So you can just see it. Watch a game. We have we own a complex, and it's Judge Dowdley goes out there, and it's like little grade school or grade school, but it's like pre-K to 1st grade. So we're out there, and there's all these littles out there, and you can just look out and see it. And I get that some parents can't, and they didn't play soccer or whatever. And a lot of times you're going up to the parent and like, hey, they're really good, or they get it. And some kids are picking flowers, and some are like, I'm scoring 17 goals today.
Right.
And they know they scored 17 goals. And some are just happy for their kid to be out there. But getting back to what you said about with parents, I feel like just having those conversations and stuff, but usually I think if your kid's not playing very much, there's some subtle clues there of okay, they're not the best one on this team. And to me it's glaringly obvious, but maybe if it's not to a parent, you don't want to discourage them if the kid's having fun. I feel like this day and age is just getting out there and moving your body instead of in front of video games.
Right.
And maybe it is the parents just want them to be in a team sport, And I think there's all different clubs and then levels,
Yes.
that they could fit on this team, or they'll get moved around.
And there's a lot more than what was around, at least I think when we all played. You had a club with a very finite number of teams, usually 1 per age group. A boys team, a girls team, maybe, depending on your club, and then 1. I mean, I don't remember playing for a club that had more than 1 age group team. I don't.
Oh yeah,
that was a while ago. Even Colping at the time, I think we were the only whatever age we were of that team.
Let me ask you kind of a broader question than just from the club scene, because you guys are obviously in the weeds with your own club, and you guys know everybody at all the other clubs. Suffice to say. Do you think, speaking to the parent listening, should they feel comfortable that the vast majority of the clubs get it right? And what I mean by that is the funneling of a player. Are they a top 1 or 2 that needs to play up to another team, or they're at a particular club that they're at the top, they really need to go to another club? Would you say that St. Louis soccer clubs as a whole get it right more than they don't?
I mean, I would hope so. I feel like
there
could be
many facial expressions you just had.
Well, no, because I think this is kind of an important area, because everybody wants to hate on clubs. They want to make their child's dissatisfaction or lack of path or lack of mobility or lack of minutes. Everything has to be the club's fault. Club being generic.
Mm-hmm. Of like they didn't make this team, so they didn't get seen.
And I think because of staffs like yours, you and your husband, your experience, your knowledge, and at Gallagher, at Fuse, take your pick, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people that know the game really, really well that see that second or third grade little girl that's just doing things that the other ones are not doing.
Yeah.
So again, kind of rephrasing the question, do you think parents should feel comfortable going to any club and then knowing that at the end of the year at quote tryout time, the right decision is likely going to be made?
I would say yes. I think, all the clubs, your main goal is everyone I think involved loves soccer. That's why they're there. So I do feel like, even how we are now, we work with all the other clubs and players, moving around or, hey, they're going to come over. Can you release this player? Like, that happens all the time. So I do think yes, in general. I just think it's harder. I think there's so many kids that the field is so saturated that there's so many good players now.
Yes.
And they've started since they were so little that it's almost like oversaturated that people can like get overlooked,
just because of the sheer volume. You're saying. Yeah.
So, and like if you're not standing out like the standout, and it's hard to get scholarships to college and all that stuff.
And then we have an acronym, traffic jam. Every league has its own
ECNLGA, NPL.
Yeah,
lives in some E64. I don't even understand what that league is, but there's so many of those leagues and the way that they plays, and then RLs and the regional leagues, and I can't keep up. I don't know how you guys do.
I don't. I have Nick's brain for that. I just ask him. He knows. I'm like, do I really need to know that? I just knew where my kids were playing.
Like, listen.
And that was it.
Well, let me ask one more question about that, because I think for the club, when you do go through the acronym jungle, is the strategy for Ajax? Do you guys try to stay local? Is it more regional? Do you?
I think it just depends on the team.
Yeah.
The team that's put together, if they're good, yes, go be in this league for sure. I think it really just specifically for us because we're not huge. Like we have one team, that's really good, so they're going to play in this league, and the other ones are not.
Got it.
Are you guys primarily, like, obviously SLISA, everybody in St. Louis, if you're going to play Select, you play SLISA Club. Yes. But then I have teams that just, it doesn't matter. They want to, like, we want to also do the NPL. Does it matter? So it's not like a club model or anything like that? Okay.
No. I just think...
some clubs seem to model that out a little bit. Like, I think it's an effort to provide structure. I think sometimes they make it a little harder than it needs to be. It's like, well, if you're this star, then you're going to be in this league. And I don't know if that always fits all the kids that are on that team.
Right, yeah.
Kind of a deal with the travel and the timelines and I would imagine that for you, Fuse has facilities, right? Gallagher has facilities, and it's part of the club fees. I get that. But Ajax does not have its own facilities. Are you renting facilities, or how does we always had to like rent space at Oakville United. We had to like reach out to the high school. Can we use your field when you're done with practice?
Yeah, you guys do. Where is it located?
So we bought it right before COVID in 2019. Us and our partners, the Schwarzens, and so we bought it, and then it used to be a Knights of Columbus. They had like baseball, softball, that kind of corkball there. And then COVID happened. It kind of, we didn't do much. And now the past 2 to 3 years, we've really like leveled out the fields. We have the same people that do slice of grass, ours, so we're trying. Wow. Yeah. And it's a building. There's a building, and then.
Where is it?
Bayless and 55.
Okay.
So yeah, I've heard of that one. Yeah. That's a lot to take on, though. Woo.
Yeah.
So this is an audio podcast, but your face sold it. Yes.
And I have 5 kids.
There's been some roadblocks, but we're working through it. So our goal is to like eventually, host slice of games and have our own grass.
Yeah, that's something we couldn't do at Oakville United. We didn't host any, but we played at different places.
Yes.
We even played at Kolping, but we didn't have our own field, so it was not something we could do.
No,
yeah.
and we do rent fields all over the place because, not everyone lives close by there. So we're renting at all different places, which is nice. But it is nice to kind of have a home base.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
At least to have something to schedule out of or to make available.
Our teams can come there and do chop talks, and we have our meetings with the coaches and stuff.
Yeah.
So it is nice to have it. It's like up and coming, we hope.
One question I thought of, and I always ask this at some point in time, but I mean, you've got your own you've got your perspective from your older siblings, yourself, your 5 kids, your husband who's played. You guys are like mom and pop of a club. With all of us coming up, whether we played or not, I think a lot of us wonder if we're doing it right. I know I do. Sometimes any things that you've learned over the years from the days when we were playing or even now of if you had a newbie parent come to you with a little one that was like, this is my life, what would you tell them? Slow your roll?
No. I mean, I would be like, well, I feel like you can't hold it back. I feel like I was that kid of I just loved it, and we played outside in the front yard with my siblings, and I kind of feel like we're doing it because we're with these little girls, and really we want them to have fun and want to go to practice and enjoy the games. And at first it should be fun. And of course we're going to teach you the skills and the basics in that, but
you eventually learned an in-between.
I did.
I did. Look at that. Get to college and everything.
Right? But yeah, that was scary for me.
Right?
I got over it. But yeah, I just feel like putting them down the path of your kids still loving it. Again, it's still our motto. I do believe in it because I played basketball, volleyball, and soccer, and then select all during those times my whole life. And I do feel like playing multiple sports, a lot of times they mimic each other. Basketball mimics soccer with passing lanes and stuff. So I'm like, it helps kids, but you also just want them to really just enjoy and still want to play, because unfortunately kids peter out and quit, and you're like, what, you were amazing,
Yeah.
But they get burnt out.
And then they get to high school and they have
Friends,
social lives and they can drive and then they want to do different things. I have only one can drive right now, and the other one's on her way. But yeah, and it seems to be still very much something that she wants to do. And I don't know what that would look like for us if it becomes a time when she's like, and I'm done. I don't know.
Right. I mean, even in college my husband and I both thought we were gonna, that was our plan, continue on after college. And then, surprise, Madeline.
Yeah.
So then it shifted and it changed. I literally went into Tim's office at SLU. We were going to have a meeting about, hey, who do you want to try out for? And sat down, and 1 week later I walked back into that office and I was like, well, I'm not trying out for anybody.
Hey.
I'm getting married and having a baby now.
And Tim was like, yeah.
Yeah. And same thing with Nick. He was going to go, I think, try out for Colorado Rapids. But yeah. So.
And then you're welcome, children.
Yeah.
You are welcome. So do you have any Tim Champion trash talk stories? I got one.
No, Tim was so nice. And
really?
Yes.
Did you never go on a run? Let's go run.
Please.
See, thank you. Did he ever just be like, put on your tennis shoes? Did you like that? I did not like that.
I am not a long distance runner.
Thank you.
And
give me a goal, right? Give me a place to run, and I will go there
all day. I could do it.
But that jackass would be like, we're just gonna go on a run. He's like, it's my 3rd run of the day. I'm like, I don't want to go on a run.
And why did they always have to be 3 miles?
See, she'll trash talk him now.
The time 3 miles, and I was like, I would always tell myself, I guess I was never taught how to long distance run, and I'd always be like, slow down, Katie, you're gonna get tired. Slow down, but then I'd be last. So
no, I would be. Well, I hung out at front, and I just wanted, as soon as I knew, I just wanted to be done. That's all.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be done. But he would never, and he knew that, and he played with my head because he would never tell. He's like, just one more, and I'm like, it's not just been. And so I would just mother F him the whole time, and he was okay. But
you were
at
the front, and I was at the back.
Yeah. And either way, we didn't know when we were going to be done.
and where we were going. I hated not knowing. Like we
we just run through St. Charles. I don't know, where would you guys run?
Well, freshman year we would run through JB Park, and then senior year, or then the later years, sophomore, junior, senior, we ran around SLU, like down.
Oh my God!
And then
Tim.
and Forest Park, and I'd be like, but where are we going, and how long is this run? Because to him, oops, we did 5 miles,
Yeah,
and it was like, wait, what? I need to know how long we're going.
He's like, I think. Yeah, and so I'm going to make sure he listens to
New
this so he
Balance,
knows.
His gray New Balance shoes. I feel like he always wore those.
He always had new shoes too. It's like, well, because you ran too much in the other ones, you dummy.
Yes. I do not miss that. That's the one thing.
The running with no purpose.
And the time 3 miles. I was like,
see,
and we'd get
I knew
up
there was something.
We'd get up at like, it was either 6 or 7, and we'd do that in the morning, the time 3 mile, and then later have practice.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Builds character.
That's what he said. I said other things back.
I would go run like 1 mile. That would be my max.
Yeah, I'm like, come on. We're not a cross-country team.
No.
We're soccer players. Just give me a place to go, and we'll go there.
Put a ball in front of me, I'll run after it all day.
See? That's kind of, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, other than that, he was actually one of my favorite coaches.
Yes.
But, yeah, I could do without the bullshit, let's just go for a run, which everybody was like, no. Do you have anybody like that, JB?
That ground us into the dirt. Every one of them. Yes. I would say Coach Baker was top of the pile. We would show up at some practices and we'd walk out and you could just see it in his face, right? The body language. He would take the bag of balls, throw it over by the bench and be like, we don't need those today.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God. And then you just start crying.
With Tim, it would be a
internally.
smirk on his face. And it was like, you start to put your cleats on. He's like, oh, did I tell you? You don't have to put those on. We're like, oh.
Keep your tennis shoes on.
So I'd like to ask you kind of your thoughts, opinions, specifically on the women's side of the game, because you played competitively at a high level, and now you have kids and girls that have played the game, and you're part of a club that I'm going to go back to that second and third grade team that clearly you brought that up on purpose, and it probably somewhat inspirational or motivational. I don't know what it is, but it came out that way a little bit. When you look at the landscape, because you guys have been with the club 17, 18 years roughly, the landscape has changed. It's accelerated so much. The opportunities for girls in particular, expanded clubs, expanded leagues, showcases, more and more universities offering really quality opportunities. The timing maybe is right. Last night was the State of the Union. What's your personal State of the Union as it applies to young girls, women's soccer? And how is St. Louis managing this wave?
I think pretty well. I mean, I like Katie Shields.
How about that program? I mean, your program
it's
was amazing then, and it's like even more so now.
Yeah, and like Janet Oberle's there. I'm just like, they're very... Janet cares about everyone, but like care about these kids and all the sports. But women's soccer, you want to foster it, I think, from young, of like, keep loving it. And like, the sky's the limit, girls, and we have these leagues now. And
even more so
you don't have
now,
to
right?
just stop playing when in college, when you're done.
Yeah.
Like, you can continue.
Do you remember that
on
kind of
and-
being, I mean, it was a little bit of a hole after college. I mean, there might be something to do, but you weren't really sure if there was anything to do.
Right. I
Now,
mean,
like, there's legit stuff to do.
yes. And like, go try it out. I mean, I kind of feel like by the time I was a senior in college, I was, at that point, I feel like playing my best soccer.
In your prime, finally.
Yes.
Like,
And so I thought, man, what if I would have continued on, like, who knows? But I mean,
I know. And also, like, I don't know how you feel about with yours or the little team you have, but whether they go on to play soccer is neither here nor there with me. I love that they love it and it's great. But the ability to dream, right? Because you see somebody that looks like you. Mm-hmm. Not to say, like, I like Lionel Messi. I think he's amazing to watch in action. I love, but he's not a girl. And so to wonder what it would have been like to look at players that I could see a little of me in, whether they were my gender or for some players it's color. We've talked to there's black athletes that want to see more women in the game so their little girls can look up to Bree McCarthy's and others. Just to be able to see like that's an option. When we grew up in a time when you were like that was an option that didn't even come on your plate.
Right.
You didn't put it on your plate.
No, you weren't. I started off playing soccer, I wasn't thinking. It wasn't even until later
because you didn't see it anywhere.
That generation, Anson was
he saw it. I don't know what he saw though, because nobody else saw it.
He did, but I think to your point, like you're wanting these young girls today do have more individuals that look like them, talk like them, did what they're doing. Anson, look, love the guy, incredibly successful, but let's be honest, he was an old white guy, right? Running women's soccer at the highest level. And now the women's programs, all the way down to the club level, are starting to resemble that. Do you feel like, do you think about that from your own club standpoint?
Like people, like they're little ones that look at you, right? And you may not know it, but they look at you, somebody who not just running the club with paperwork, but you played.
Yes, and I mean, it's a big kind of selling point. Like when we worked camps growing up, and they were like, oh, Katie plays at SLU, Nick plays at SLU. These kids are looking at you like, oh, wow.
The closest thing to a hero right there.
But I think now, because we have so many more kids and players and girls especially, like I think now girls are being in clubs more and coaching. I think we have way more coaches now here locally, women, probably, than we ever did, because people, you just don't want to stop.
Yeah, and I'd like to see more though. I'd like to personally see, especially the ones who have got strong girl programs. One of the questions is like, hey, coaches who are mostly guys, do you know the women pros? Like, do you know their stats like you know the men's stats? Do your girls watch their games, and do you have that available? You can go to more bars now, and we're here at Melon Mushroom. You can see it.
I've thought about this because you bring this up a lot, and I get it, and I totally understand kind of the...
Sorry, Katie, this is where I get pissy.
No, I was waiting for this part.
Dun, dun, dun.
And I think like the club directors, the quote men that are running the clubs, or the coaches at the academy level, whatever, they're not foolish. They know who that girl/woman is and what they did. That's not the market to sell. It's the parents, because the parents are looking for idols for their kids. Like if I'm a club, just put them in there, because you don't need to convince the boys director or whatever of this is why it's a good thing, because it's the value goes down to that 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old girl that's like, I don't care who the guy director is, right? They need those role models closer, quicker.
Yeah.
So just load them up, because I think we all see these clubs, and again, I think all the clubs are doing a good job at increasing the female presence.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming along.
So I don't know.
We've reached out to like SLU, because that's who we know.
For sure.
But like, hey, any girls like want to coach, or we need coaches. We'd love them.
Yeah.
So
and foster that, and I know there's somebody I want to have on the show, Brianna Halverson. She's worked. She was at SLU. She's worked. I think she's over with the Stars now. But kind of one of those names where, to be able to keep coaching, you also have to make money. At certain levels, right? Not in the volunteer perspective like we've done, Katie, but there's a point where to go on and get continued licensing. I think there was a English coach that said, it can cost you £10,000 to go all the way through, and if you're not having clubs that sponsor that, or that are willing to, at some point in time, you're going to call a spade and be like, I don't have time or money for this.
Right.
And then we go to a whole social thing about being a default parent, and who's there when your kid's sick, and who's there running to the 1 million soccer practices. But it's part of that whole construct, I think.
Well, so Brianna, like we went to SLU games. I watch every game on TV. And I actually just went up and introduced myself to her last weekend. So our girls played against each other.
All right.
weekend
I haven't reached out to you guys, so I'm going to get her.
So I'm like, I knew who she was. She doesn't know who I am.
Yeah.
But I'm like,
You're like, I'm an alum.
I said, yeah. So I just
Let's
introduced
go.
myself. We were coaching against each other, and she's starting the girls program there. So I was like, that's amazing. But yeah, what a small world. 'Cause I literally just introduced myself to her.
But you noticed that, right? And then what I didn't know at the time I was doing it, even though I'm pretty sure it was said to me, I didn't know that just being a coach of the girls I coached, even the boys I coach, I would like to think they're better off for it. But just being in that role, despite maybe how good, bad, or otherwise I did, was inspirational for them to be like that. Okay, that's Marin's mom, but she also played in college. She's not just telling us to do this move, she's showing us this move. Oh, wow, they didn't know that I probably hurt myself, but I struck that ball pretty good. I needed 3 ibuprofen.
They were not there for the ice bath.
They weren't, but I killed it. But that in those small micro moments, like I imagine in that game where you're coaching against Brianna and you got 2 girls teams playing each other and parents, that has bigger impact than all of us will ever know. That maybe they never talk about. It's just like, yeah, what's the big deal about having women coaches? Because I totally had my games coached by women.
Right.
Like, awesome.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Because I had one girls coach. Like, she helped Tim. It was Tracy Handel. Do you
Oh,
know
yeah,
Tracy?
she was my assistant coach. She just went over to SLU with you. Yeah, she would, be there to be like, yeah, you guys would. She would try to get the 411 on how long she thinks we're going. We're like, Tracy, please, talk him out of this bullshit.
She liked running, too. She's like,
She
come
did.
on, Katie.
And she was always really positive, like, hate you, Tracy. Love you, girl.
I got to ask you, because we've reaching the finish line here, because, we troll everybody on Facebook. So I trolled today prior. How much fun is
He
City
investigated.
Is what?
SC? City SC.
Oh, my God. I love it. We look forward to it. We have season tickets going to the games. We already know where we're watching it tomorrow. I love it. I'm so excited for St. Louis, and just in general, people that didn't even not necessarily know about soccer, but like the atmosphere down there is off the charts. I love it.
Would it be crazy to have a women's pro team here too?
I would love that.
Oh my God,
that would be amazing.
That you would get nothing done.
Being talked about, right?
It's in the mix somewhere.
I don't know how it's not on the whiteboard
I'm trying to
somewhere.
stir where I can. I make no impression,
Keep
but I
stirring
bitch
that
about it. I keep bitching about it.
I'm pretty sure they've heard you.
Well, good.
This
Listen.
is
when he turns
fun.
my mic down.
It was a pleasure meeting you, and best of luck with the club as well, and
Thank
the
you.
facility and X, Y, and Z. You guys are banging it out right now. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So you
Thanks for
don't
having
have 5
me.
kids, you have 500 kids.
All my little babies.
Katie Stewart. I knew her as Bridget's little sister,
Yeah.
Katie Stewart Bokern. Nick Bokern was a decent player.
Wink, wink.
Thanks for being on the show here at Mellow Mushroom. And awesome, I'll be coming to you for pictures so I can put them in my collage.
Oh, perfect.
There
Thank
we
you,
go.
guys.
Thank you. Like, review, follow, share.
Yeah,
Soccer Mom Sunday.
Too. There you go.
And we'll catch you next time. We're out here. Death Cab for Cutie. Bye-bye.
If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied,